When the hotshots were surrounded by flames, a DC-10 full of fire retardant was overhead, but the air tanker never received the crew's location.
I'll never forget this story. I won't ever forget that day, the Yarnell Hill Fire. What can we do so this never happens again?
First, I think we have to accept that we can't stop it. There is no way, in my opinion, that you can say, if I do X, Y, and Z, no one will ever again die in a wildfire. Because it's like saying a police officer will never again fire his gun when he encounters a dangerous situation, somebody charges at him, you know. There are certain aspects of the job that are very, very dangerous, and there's only so much we can do to mitigate that danger. Now, can we improve communications? Yes. Can we equip these crews with GPS locators so that someone somewhere is tracking them, and so if they're on the path of an incoming fire, they can make sure that that specific crew is warned and told to take shelter, get away, go someplace else because you're in a dangerous position. That's doable. There is a proposal in the very early stages in Congress right now, but that's one of the things they're discussing, and it's important because that could make a difference between somebody living and dying, and we should think long and hard about that.
What does it take to be a hotshot?
First and foremost, I think it takes an absolute love for being dirty for a very long time, for working really hard for 14 days straight with no break.
Yeah.
And for absolutely understanding that the job can never be done by one person alone. You have to work in groups. These are the elite among hand crews that fight wildfires. So these are the guys who work on the ground, closest to the flames. So when we watch on TV the 40-foot flames, these are the teams that are right there digging fire line to try to prevent those flames from crossing over and hitting a town or burning an area that shouldn't be burned.
And they work in teams closely, and they can truly be out for extended periods of time. So they carry incredible loads, heavy packs. Give me an example of what's in a Hotshots pack that they carry with them all day.
Well, the minimum weight they carry is usually 40 pounds. And in their pack, they have water, they have foot powder, meals ready to eat, MREs, because many times they're in parts of the forest where there's no reach, so they have to just eat those little meals they carry in their bags. They carry tools that are landscaping tools, construction tools.
Shovels, axes.
Pickaxes, Pulaskis, which is a half adze, half axe. It's a combination tool. It's one of the main tools used in wildland firefighting. They carry chainsaws. The load can go anywhere from 40 pounds to 100 pounds. And many of these guys are not really bulky, big, muscular guys. A lot of them are very lean, but somehow they figure out a way to balance themselves and carry that for 16 hours straight. The shifts usually run for 16 hours, and they work 2 weeks straight without a break.
These firefighters are incredible. We've been on the ground with them a lot covering these wildfires. They're funny.
They are.
Wonderful people. Brave individuals.
They're very smart people. They are very attuned to the environment, to nature. They have an understanding of nature that's very nuanced and very different than the one that a scientist might have. And they absolutely cannot function in an office all day. In fact, in the Granite Mountain Hotshots, one of the guys, Garrett Zupiger, had a degree in business management from University of Arizona, but he was fighting fires because going to an office, putting a suit and a tie was not his thing. And he was very happy doing that.
Been with them when they have fought fires all day to exhaustion, drop their pack and sleep where they are.
Right.
Get up, water down, and go again.
Increasingly, this is something we have to think about because wildfires for long were a phenomenon that only occurred in the West, but now it happens everywhere. Fires are getting bigger, they are getting hotter. Forests for many decades were not managed properly. We used to put out fires right as they started, so we eliminated the natural role of fire of being sort of the janitor of the forest, right? So we had these overgrown forests. Now we have a warmer climate, drying climate, and that all together creates for these very dangerous situations that these men and women face. So I think if I made people care about these people as humans, then they perhaps would start thinking about how is it that we need to approach this dangerous job in this changing world of climate, global warming, however you want to call it.
You make some really good points, and number one, our changing climate, but number two, that a lot of people talk about, and that's forestry management.
Right.
There was a period of time where there would be an all-year plan to groom forests. What did you find out about those kinds of things?
The plans still exist, but there's no money for it. And the reason there's no money for it is that We spend so much money fighting fires, so we're sort of caught in this vicious cycle. The Forest Service last year spent half of its entire budget to fight fires. For several years now, they have tried in Congress to change the way we fund wildland firefighting, to put the money to fight fires in the same pot where we have the money to do post-hurricane recovery, flood recovery, an emergency, a disaster type of fund, and then use the Forest Service budget to do what you were talking about, the annual constant job of prescribed burns, which are the fires that we intentionally set under control.
Take the fuel out.
Exactly, because what we want to do is clear the forest floor. So if there is a fire, the fire doesn't carry from the bottom to the tops of the trees, because that's when it travels and it doesn't stop. Look what happened in Canada recently. Nobody could stop that fire, because once it's on the crowns of the trees and it's a thick forest and it's very dry, there is no way you can put men and women there and tell them it's your job to stop it, because it's a death sentence essentially. And a lot of people don't understand that. I had people ask me, why didn't they stop that fire? And I said, you can't. Those kind of fires you can't stop, and those are the fires that we increasingly see in this country.
The Yarnell Hill Fire was the largest loss of life for U.S. firefighters since the September 11th terrorist attacks. We may never know all of the answers to all of our questions. Coming up next, one man's trips to the Arctic for nearly 2 decades have made him a renowned artist and activist.